What's up, guys?
Well, congratulations on another great night of fights.
Thank you.
Can you just give me your opening thoughts on what you thought overall of this fight and maybe just the series in general?
Well, I mean, go back to the first week, second week. This was the last week, of course, for the second round of the regular season. And I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't want to throw it out there. I was like, okay, listen, you know what? It's been great for this last 2 weeks, but let's look at this week and let's just hope everybody brings it. And that's exactly what they did, you know. Everybody tonight lived up to the hype of the last 2 weeks. And, I mean, the Sadabu spinning hook kick was heard across the world. I mean, that was amazing. And then Olivier topped it off, icing on the cake with a finish as well. I couldn't be any happier. I mean, all the fighters did an amazing job tonight.
You touched already on the main and the co-main back-to-back huge KOs. Which one was your favorite?
I would have to go with the spinning hook kick. First of all, it was so fast, and then when it did land, it was game over. So, and because it was so loud, like I said, that was heard across the world.
So I have a couple of smaller questions. Stevie Ray announced a tentative retirement with us. He said the only condition he'd come back is if he could fight in the UK. Is that something you think you might be able to arrange for him, a farewell fight in the UK?
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, PFL Europe is on right now. There's a possibility that he could, fight in one of those shows later on this year. So, a big thank you to Stevie Ray. He came and bought his game, and we were glad that he was part of the team for a little bit.
And we had a fight between two friends, actually more like family, between Raush and Natan. I'm wondering what was the thought process between making that fight?
Well, as you know, in the league, everybody gets to fight each other, right? But these two, not only former champions, but also have been here for the last 4 years. And so eventually those two were going to meet at some point. And everybody in the league understands that.
Yeah, and we have actually now two more friends fighting. Both Natan will be fighting. What are your thoughts on that? Are you a little worried you might see some tentative, or do you think they're going to not do what the Brazilians did?
Well, I can't speak for them, but obviously they understand that to get to the championship, they got to bring their A game. And so I'm hoping that that's what happens. And so I just got to keep my fingers crossed, and hopefully that's the way it turns out.
And my last question, I don't know if you've announced this yet, but do you know where the finals will be? We're hearing maybe New York. Is that possible?
Well, there's
Not the playoffs, but the finals.
yeah, I can't really go into. There's a lot of possibilities at the moment, but as you know, the playoffs is San Antonio, New York, and New York. So that's where the playoffs will be.
Ray, besides your champions, what other performance stood out to you?
Like the first three fights of the night. I mean, again, those guys kicked off the night with finishes. Searcher finished. What was the other two? Solomon. That was the first fight of the season, if you will, and he pulled off a finish and an upset. And so it's funny because we brought him in as an alternate for the 170 division, but he's actually a 155er, so he's going to go into that 155 division next year.
What did you make of the Martinez-Miranda fight? That was a good fight, ended in a split decision. Did you have it for Martinez, or who did you have to fight for?
I thought Miranda Bruno actually landed more, was coming forward. Yeah, but definitely it was a tough fight to score. So for me, it didn't. I wasn't surprised if it went either way.
And then my last question is, any updates on a Kayla Harrison fight?
Yes, that's in the works, and most likely, we still have the championship as well as the pay-per-view division. So that's she's probably looking at something like that. Yeah.
Obviously, you spent 3 weeks here last year.
Yes.
Another 3 weeks again. What's been some of your favorite memories here now in Atlanta?
Favorite memories? Well, when you have fights, especially those last 3 weeks, that have been like a consistent of finishes. One, that's exciting for us, and two, the fans actually really loved it. So it was, Atlanta's been good to us. So, we may come back.
there were a lot of underdogs on today's cards that really put a hard time for the favorites. Are there any matches from tonight or from the past couple of weeks that you'd be interested in remaking at the start of next season?
Yeah, that's a good question. As you know, the roster turns over 50% every year, and so there are certain guys this past 3 weeks that unfortunately didn't win their first and didn't win their second fight. So unfortunately for those guys, they probably move on and try to get more wins, and we'll see down the road where they can improve and come back. Go back to your question. Your question in regards to. I felt like Olivier tonight looked like a complete fighter. He didn't shoot at all. He didn't make it boring. He was exciting through the whole fight. And he was fighting a real good kickboxer guy. And the fact that he ended up finishing the guy with a knee, it just goes to show the growth of the PFL athletes, but also the league itself.
Hey guys, just 3 more, so one at a time. So we'll go here, here, and then here.
Right, so obviously back in Atlanta, man, I mean, 3 weeks last time, 3 weeks this time, but last time was cool, but this time was on a different level.
Right.
It was lit, I mean, it was sold out show. Are you starting to feel at home here a little bit? You think this might be a regular thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the fans, they kept tonight throughout the night. They were like, "Ray, this year is amazing. You guys were great." Pretty much exactly what you just said. You know what I mean? And so the fact that the fans loved and they saw the improvement of not only the growth of the athletes but also the fight at the league. And so definitely, we love it here in Atlanta. So we'll definitely be back at some point.
So last year, on the 3rd week, I asked you if you were going to go to the aquarium, and you said your son wants to be a marine biologist, and he told you,
Right.
you have to wait for me to
Right.
go to the aquarium. So
Correct.
You guys ever get to go together?
No, unfortunately, he's away right now. So when he comes back, at some point I got to bring him because he's not going to let me live that down.
Thanks, man. Come back soon.
Absolutely, thank you.
Ray, an excellent night of fights. It was so much fun to watch, and it was really exciting to watch somebody make their debut on 6 days' notice, which had me thinking, when you are looking at fighters potentially coming to the PFL roster, what
Right.
are you looking for in those fighters?
Yeah, I mean, great question. When we look at fighters and we're out there looking, first of all, it's got to be a guy that can wrestle, a guy that can that does jiu-jitsu, a guy that can strike, pretty much an overall mixed martial artist. Tonight we saw a lot of that. Again, I can't help but continue to bring up Olivier Massier because he didn't shoot once tonight. And he's a wrestler. And the fact that he actually finished the fight with strikes, it just goes to show the growth of PFL, but also the fighters at PFL. Thank you.
Here in the back.
Ray, one last question for me. This is Cooper. Comment for today. Obviously, I know you guys do things a little differently in terms of having showcase fighters on earlier in the card. I personally love how you guys do it.
Right.
What have you thought about the showcase fighters, not only this week, but last week as well?
Honestly, yeah. No, I truly understand what you're saying because I actually was super hyped about the showcase fights, and everybody lived up to to the hype. It was amazing. A big shout out to our team, our whole team. I mean, from bottom to the top, everybody stepped in. Everybody did what they needed to do, and then when you have the fighters that step up and put on that kind of performance, it's a winning combination.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
And
it.
we'll have
Thanks,
Olivier
guys.
here in just a moment.